All right, we are past the halfway point of Euphoria Season 2. We're getting close to the end, and this episode was a lot. The episode didn't revolve around a ton of characters, but at the same time, so much happened. As you may know if you watched my last video, you'll know that I wasn't the craziest about episode 4, to put it lightly. It was maybe my least favorite episode of the entire series, and mainly because the plots that it revolved around were just the ones I'm not quite as crazy about this season. In particular, the Cassie one, and I do want to make this clear, I wasn't criticizing the character Cassie herself. I was more so criticizing the writing and how they've written her this season, to me, has come off very exploitative and like needlessly mean-spirited in a way, and I really have just not cared for that arc. But what's nice about this episode is that all we focus on is Rue, and this is easily some of the stuff I'm loving the most this season. So this whole episode was it was amazing.
This was fucking amazing, like I said.
Because we have this cold open, which is basically an intervention with Rue, her mother, and her sister. And it's brutal. It's really hard to watch. Zendaya is giving an Emmy-level performance, Oscar-level performance, whatever the highest pedigree is out there, it's that level. It could be her best performance of the entire series so far, and it's both heartbreaking and mainly heartbreaking. In this episode, Rue is at her absolute lowest point yet. And I don't say that lightly. It's just the opening scene specifically, when she's breaking through doors, telling her mom the meanest stuff, being crazy rude to Jules, which not totally undeserved, but just very unhinged, very sad to watch. Did I cry? Yeah. I think the part of this episode that hurt the most is when Rue's mother says to her face, "You are not a good person." That's rough. And then Rue sure fires back with the meanest, coldest stuff that you could possibly say to your mother or parent, and it's really hard to watch. It made me upset.
I'm upset!
Without sounding too pretentious, movies and shows that make me feel something are definitely my favorite kind of media. And like, I can enjoy a movie like Mortal Kombat 2021 and have a lot of fun with that movie, but I don't really feel anything. When I watch something like this, the way that specifically Rue is written in the show is so authentic, so bone-chilling in some ways, and so harrowing, that it's really beautifully done. And as I mentioned, when she's shouting at Jules, basically saying that she's dead to her, that she abandoned her at the train station when she needed her the most, really hard-hitting stuff and necessary stuff too. I do have to say though, when I saw Ellie in the house sitting at one of the tables, I was just thinking, okay, you can leave now. A lot of this season is literally your fault to a T, so you can leave. So I love the cold open, really great start, but then it keeps going. Then the episode proceeds to never stop and just chronicles Rue going to all these different houses, viewing all these characters, and it's so well done. So Rue's going off to rehab again, and then she just gets out in the middle of the highway and almost gets hit by a car, which was it was scary. Then she goes to Lexi and Cassie's house. Now the thing about this scene, this scene got very heavy very fast because Maddie's friend group is there. So Cassie's there, Maddie's there, Kat's there, Lexi is also there. And once Rue's mother and sister show up, Cassie says this one thing to Rue about, oh, well, with addiction, you just need to take one step at a time. I was just waiting. I was like, no, Rue is not. She is not about to bring up Nate Jacobs. She sure does. The moment we've been waiting for all season finally happens. And the one thing I will say about it is that it's not the most satisfying reveal in the world, because the initial shock on Maddie's face when she finds out and her reaction is perfect. It's great. Love it. But when Rue leaves the house, we leave the house. So we don't really get to see anything else coming from it. We don't get to see any more of the drama. So a little disappointing from that perspective, but Still, great that it finally got revealed. I mean, it's been long enough. But then we get Rue's downward spiral, because now not only is she looking for drugs, but she's also looking for money. So she's trying to steal jewelry in various houses. She even goes into the garage of a house that's closing, and then she steals pearls and almost gets shot. That was, yeah. We also get a scene that's very reminiscent of the scene in season 1 where Rue is banging on the door of Fez's house. And he does let her in, but once he finds out that she's just looking for drugs, she's out of there. And then following this, she gets into it with the police, and there's a whole big police chase. And it's a little goofy sometimes, like when she's going over houses and gates and stuff, these little 2 dogs are chasing her. That was kind of funny. So the tone was a little inconsistent. Sometimes it would be a little goofy, and sometimes it's the scariest episode, the most depressing episode. One where my heart was just pounding so fast. But I think the tone still worked overall, even though there were some goofier moments. But the last 15 minutes of this episode are incredibly dark, very heavy. This scene was so intense. Not only is Rue at the house of the person you owe all this money to, who very clearly threatened you and your family if you don't sell drugs and give money back to her, but she's also dealing with her addiction issues at the same time. So when Ruby's giving her morphine through her arm, the whole scene, I was thinking she was either gonna drown her or intentionally overdose her so that, like, Rue dies. I really thought there was a chance they were gonna kill off Rue, especially in the shot with Ruby and Rue in the bathtub, where they're out of focus and the shot of morphine is in focus. And then she finally gets the shot and gives it to Rue. I was thinking that's it. I was thinking that's the final time she gets high.
When Rue gets really high.
Especially given that she dreams about her youth, her father, and giving a speech at her father's funeral. This episode was really hard to watch. Then we get a huge shot of intensity because Rue has to get out of the house and all the doors are bolted locked. So she has to break out of a window, and she actually makes it. And the final shot is Rue's mother with like a door opening and her saying, "Rue? Did Rue come home? Is that what happened? Or did the drug dealer show up to murder her?" I don't know. But yeah, that was this episode of Euphoria. I think it really made up for everything I didn't really like as much about the last episode. And don't get me wrong, like, a lot of people love that last episode. That's cool. But this one to me is everything I love about Euphoria. It made me feel so many emotions, and I was on the verge of tears many times, not kidding. Even though I've criticized some of Sam Levinson's writing, particularly what he's doing with Cassie, the way he writes Rue is just so perfect, so well done, and you can tell that he's definitely using a lot of his own personal experiences when he's writing about addiction and Rue's personification. It's just so beautifully done. It's done with a lot of heart, but a lot of brutal honesty. Yeah, I love this episode. I think it's maybe my favorite episode of the series. I think it was beautiful, and it makes me feel bad for even doubting Sam Levinson in the last episode for me not liking that one, because now it's like, okay, yeah, he knows what's up. As far as my expectations for the rest of the season, I don't know. Because the thing about season 1 that I like a little bit more is that I feel like by episode 4, we knew where we were going. We had a straightforward plot. It's like, okay, Nate Jacobs is the main threat. He's gonna do this, and this is how we're gonna go. This season is a little more scatterbrained, and both in terms of the plot and quality, because a lot of stuff is going on in different directions, and maybe the focus is now going to be on this situation Rue's gotten herself into with the drugs and the drama that's going to cause and potentially putting her family and friends at risk. But it's still, there's a lot of little things going on, like the Cassie and Nate stuff is definitely going to be resolved in the next few episodes. And then the Lexi musical that's also happening. There's a lot of stuff just spurted all over the place that I'm not quite sure how it's going to come together yet, but we have 3 whole episodes left. We're going to find out soon. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I have to say about this episode. How'd you feel about it? Did you like it? Did you love it like me? Were you not as crazy about it? Let me know what you thought in the comments. I'll respond, maybe. We'll see. We'll engage. We'll have some fun. And yeah, have a good week. We'll see you next week. Happy Euphoria, everyone.